Released in 1974, Bob Clark's Black Christmas stands as a seminal work within the horror genre, often cited as one of the earliest slasher films. This Canadian classic is not merely a precursor to the genre's explosive growth in the late 70s and early 80s, but a pivotal film that helped shape its conventions and themes. Black Christmas is credited with laying the groundwork for many of the tropes and conventions that would define the slasher genre. Released just a few years before John Carpenter's Halloween and George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, it preceded the wave of slasher films that would dominate the late 70s and 80s. The film's innovative approach to suspense and horror, characterized by its use of a singular location and an enigmatic killer, would become a blueprint for future films in the genre. The film's influence extends beyond just its narrative techniques. It introduced a more psychologically driven form of horror. The anonymous and seemingly omnipresent killer, whose identity remains shrouded in mystery throughout the film, contributes to a pervasive sense of dread and paranoia. This would become a defining characteristic of the slasher genre, influencing subsequent films and directors. In pop culture, Black Christmas has been referenced and paid homage to in various forms. Its impact is evident in its numerous remakes and adaptations, including a notable remake in 2006 and a reimagining in 2019. The film's legacy is also reflected in its inclusion in numerous best horror films lists and its influence on contemporary horror cinema, which often grapples with similar themes of fear and identity. Set against the backdrop of a snowy, isolated sorority house during the Christmas season, Black Christmas is a masterclass in building tension and atmosphere. The film's narrative structure is notable for its slow-burn approach to horror. It eschews the more overtly gory and violent techniques of later slasher films in favor of a more psychological approach. The horror emerges gradually, with the sense of menace building as the unseen killer harasses and terrorizes the sorority sisters. The film's plot centers around a group of sorority sisters who are stalked by an unknown assailant during their Christmas vacation. The story unfolds with a series of unsettling phone calls, each more disturbing than the last, and culminates in a series of shocking and suspenseful scenes. The film's use of the telephone as a tool for creating terror is particularly effective, emphasizing the violation of personal safety and the invasion of privacy. One of Black Christmas's most remarkable achievements is its character development. Unlike many of its successors, the film provides depth to its characters, avoiding the archetypal portrayals common in later slasher films. The sorority sisters, portrayed by an ensemble cast including Olivia Hussey, Margot Kidder, and Andrea Martin, are given distinct personalities and backstories. Their relationships and individual struggles add layers to the narrative, making their plight all the more engaging and their fear all the more palpable. The film also introduces a complex and unsettling antagonist, whose presence is felt through chilling phone calls and a series of violent acts. The killer's motives and background remain ambiguous, contributing to the film's atmosphere of unease and contributing to the overall psychological horror. Upon its release, Black Christmas was met with mixed reviews. Critics at the time were divided on the film's approach to horror and its departure from traditional horror conventions. However, in the decades since, the film has been reassessed and recognized as a groundbreaking entry in the genre. It has been praised for its innovative use of suspense, its atmospheric setting, and its ability to evoke genuine fear without relying heavily on gore. In contemporary critical discourse, Black Christmas is lauded for its influence on the slasher genre and its contribution to the evolution of horror cinema. Its blend of psychological terror and subtlety has been praised for setting a high standard for future films. Additionally, the film's strong performances and effective use of setting have been highlighted as key elements of its enduring appeal. Black Christmas emerged at a time when the horror genre was beginning to shift from supernatural themes to more grounded psychological terrors. The early 1970s were marked by a growing fascination with the darker aspects of human nature and societal fears. The film reflects this shift, presenting a horror scenario that taps into anxieties about personal safety and the intrusion of violence into everyday life. The film's setting, during the Christmas season, adds an ironic layer to the horror, contrasting the festive and joyous connotations of the holiday with the film's grim narrative. This juxtaposition enhances the sense of dread and makes the horror all the more unsettling. Black Christmas remains a seminal work in the horror genre, a film that not only paved the way for the slasher genre, but also contributed to the evolution of psychological horror. Its innovative approach to suspense, character development, and narrative structure has left a lasting impact on both the genre and popular culture. Despite initial mixed reviews, the film's legacy has grown over the years, with contemporary critics and audiences recognizing its significance and enduring appeal. As a precursor to the slasher genre and a work that continues to influence modern horror, Black Christmas stands as a testament to the power of subtlety and psychological tension in creating fear. Its impact on the genre and its place in the broader cultural context affirm its status as a classic, making it a film that continues to captivate and terrify audiences more than 4 decades after its release.